9 times out of 10 when you go for a flight, things will go to plan and you end up with some pretty good video and pictures. But every so often something goes wrong, or that the drone doesn't behave in a way that you actually think. And sometimes it's useful to be able to look back, replay what happened and analyse what went wrong. And that's what I'm talking about today. Hello, I'm Ian and I play with drones. And as I said, look, today I'm talking about how to replay events that actually happen whilst you're in flight. Sometimes the little messages are popping up very quickly and you can't always read them. Sometimes you're unlucky enough to actually lose the drone or have a crash landing, battery can go low. Either way, things can happen and you need to have the ability to go into the flight logs and actually look at what happened. And thanks to an incredibly helpful and useful little website, AirDataUAV, it's very easy to actually upload your flight log that's recorded automatically to your phone, and you can actually replay the flight. You can see all of the error messages and you actually get to look at all the parameters and the data, and you can see what went wrong. And from finding out what went wrong, you can then learn from that and hopefully avoid a situation like that happening again. So today, for the first time in what seems like ages, we actually don't have wind here in the UK. In fact, it's a glorious spring-like day. So I'm going to be putting the Mini 2 up. It's only got a half-charged battery. I'm going to let it go down to a bit of a low battery. Sadly, I'm still on my little crutches, so I can't go traipsing out in the field to retrieve a crash landing, so I'll probably let the battery die down here. Then I can go inside, upload the flight logs, and we can actually look at what went wrong, and I can show you how to actually analyse these various events that could cost you your drone if you don't know what you're doing. Right, okay, on that, let's go. Now, I have purposely taken off on a half-charged battery. So, there we go. Obviously doesn't like being in sports mode on a half-charged battery. But like I said, this is actually all about generating events for us to look at. Good. Remember, you can tap the little battery icon or the timer icon, and you get to see how much time you've got left. You've got the 3 displays. You've got the top one until the automatic return to home. Then you've got the next one, which is until it starts to force landing. And then the last one is the until battery depleted. So when it's forced landing, you can actually still use the left stick to try and increase the altitude and still try and make it home if you're pushing the battery. That last timer at the bottom there is literally, it will go into auto land and there's nothing you can do about it. So you can see we haven't got too much left on this battery, which is fine. So running out of battery here, and I'm 300 meters away. Saying return to home promptly, and there we go. Now if I just leave it, you can hear the bleep and it's going to kick into that right, if for whatever reason I want to cancel that though, again I'm just generating events here. So I've cancelled that. So obviously I'm doing things nice and controlled here, just in the back garden, but there are times when you might have been pushing the battery a little bit, trying to get that last shot, and you need to know what's going to happen when the battery's getting critical. So that's where we're going now. Got 30 seconds until forced landing. I'm just actually going to get it over the garden. So I don't really want to go traipsing. So 10 seconds until forced landing here. So now we have forced landing, but if I do this, see, I can stop it landing and I can still raise it up. Ted's chasing the postman. So you can see here we've got 45 seconds until total battery depletion. We don't need a doorbell with Ted. So like I said, this is trying to land now, and I am preventing it from landing by pressing the left stick up, and it will keep on rising up each time I put the left stick up. But eventually when the battery is almost totally depleted, it'll go into a forced landing and there's nothing you can do about it. It's still letting me bounce it up and down a little bit. Of course, it is not very good for you to be depleting your batteries down to zero as well, so I wouldn't make a habit of this if I were you. So he's really trying to land quite fast. At the moment, he's still allowing me to lift up the altitude. Nice to know you've got a tiny bit of reserve in. Oh, and there we go. I can't stop it, and down it goes. Right. So hopefully that's generated quite a few different events there. So now, say we'll go inside, download those that flight log, very easy, and we can actually have a look at and replay that flight and see exactly what happens at each stage of those issues. So here we are inside. Now look, that flight just now was purposely made on low battery to generate loads of incidents and events. But of course, you may well have seen something happen whilst you were flying, something may have popped up on screen, anything may have happened that would want to make you check what had actually happened, or worse, you may have even lost or crashed your drone. So either way, you can make use of the flight data that's automatically stored on your mobile phone every single time you fly. If you use AirDataUAV site, you can review and even play back the flight information like this, with a full map review, animated flights showing the location of your drone at any point, along with all of the data that was being captured at any time during the flight. Now, you have got a couple of ways of accessing this information. Whilst I'm using the Mini 2 for this particular flight, the website supports pretty much every make and model of drone going, including all of the DJI models, Skydio, Parrot and Autel. You can download the app on both Android and iOS, or you can use your desktop or laptop and look at things on a much bigger screen. On your desktop or laptop, you can connect your phone directly to the laptop or PC. You open up the AirData website and you navigate to your phone's files and upload them manually. The website gives you all the help and location of where the files are stored, and it's pretty much painless enough, to be honest. But having the app loaded on your phone or the device that you actually use to control your drone makes life infinitely easier, because you can set the app to auto upload the flight log for you as soon as you complete the flight and as soon as you're back in connection with the internet. So for me, having the app on the phone is infinitely easier, because it means the moment you're finished flying, you can go back inside, go up onto your main PC or laptop and review the flight straight away, as everything has been automatically uploaded and synced for you. Now look, I am making this video because I had a few subscribers ask for help in reviewing their flights after seeing me show some screen grabs in some of my wind tests I did a couple of weeks ago. This is definitely not a tutorial on how to use AirDataUAV. To be honest, no real need for that, because the website has got truckloads of help pages and even a forum for some of the more in-depth help that you might need. Now look, all I wanted to do today was A, make you aware that it exists, and B, show you some of the more useful elements. So look, once you've got your flight log uploaded, you will see all of your flights listed, and you can click on any of them and review them again and again. There are a number of screens that show, I think, incredible detail and show exactly what was happening at every point throughout the flight. You can swap between metric or imperial measurements for whatever floats your boat, and then you can view all of the different areas of information. Now for me, one of the main screens I use regularly is the weather tab, which of course shows you what weather was happening during the flight, and of course, me doing regular wind tests on my channel, it is the wind information that I make the most use of. Now you not only get an overview of the wind, but you can also click the weather map and see how the wind was varying at different times and different locations of the flight. And when you click on the altitude profile tab, you get this brilliant indication of how much stronger the winds are when you're flying up higher. Look at today's flight on a very calm and sunny day. It was a lovely early spring day, and on the ground it seemed to me like there was barely a breeze. But as you can see here, just 50 feet or 15, 20 meters up, it is actually a very brisk wind. And this is why smaller drones like the Mini and the Mini 2 can be a little bit vulnerable when it's breezy on the ground, as it can be almighty windy up above. So again, this is why it's useful to know what's happening. For me, one of the most useful screens though is seeing what actually happened on the flight, and that is the notification screen where every notifiable event is shown. You can see here scrolling down all the events that were happening, how the battery was depleting and what notifications were popping out as the flight continued. You can see when the flight modes were changed, like going into sports mode, and you can see what happens as the battery depletes more and more until finally the auto returns kick in. And to me, this is a really, really useful screen to review exactly what events were happening throughout the flight. But perhaps one of the more fun and best all-round screens is the HD player. And look, for some reason they only show the button on some of the screens. To me, it could be far more noticeable because it's easy to miss. But if you click this blue button, it opens up the entire flight and lets you play back the whole flight second by second, with both animation and a full scrolling list of every event. You can pause it, speed it up or slow it down, and you can watch the whole flight and everything that happened, or you can jump into a particular part or pause it at any time. Now, if you're unlucky enough to be reviewing this data for a crash that you may have had, it will also show you where the drone was last positioned when connected to the remote control, allowing you to then zoom in and work out exactly, hopefully, where it landed. This is very, very similar to the Find My Drone function on the DJI app itself. And I did do another video on how to avoid flyaways and how to use the Find My Drone function. And I'll do a link to that there, because if you don't know it exists and your drone has gone down away from you, it's an incredibly useful bit of functionality to get your drone back. But for now, look, this is all I wanted to say. Personally, I pay for the HD Lite account as it gives you the detailed in-flight wind data. Most of the other screens that I've shown you today are available on the free account. So for me, looking back at what happened on a flight and crucially what went wrong is a great way to learn and avoid making mistakes again in the future, and of course keep your pride and joy safe to fly for another day. So look, I hope you find this useful. As ever, if you do like it, give me a little thumb up, always helps the cause. And again, as ever, more than ever at this time, crazy things going on, wherever you are in the world, stay safe and sane, have fun, happy flying.